he okay?
I think he's upset about fireworks, right?
Yeah, he's upset about fireworks.
Figure there might be a
Upset about
few folks after the 4th.
Yeah, he said he has a shake roof, and he lives out in Dodson,
Yep.
and said they were going over his roof. So.
That's cool. Okay. Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the Villa Park City Council. I hereby call the meeting to order. Steve, will you please call the roll?
Okay, just to start, Councilman Zimmerman has indicated that he will be gone for personal reasons this evening. Councilwoman Miles?
Here.
Councilman Colacott?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Pitts?
Here.
Mayor Rossini?
Here.
We have 4 of the 5.
Given that we do not have any closed session business to report on, we'll go ahead and skip that. I'd like to move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. And Mayor Pro Tem, would you please lead us, sir?
Yes, be more proud to. Please face the flag, hand across your heart, and follow me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you. At this time, I would ask all those in the audience to please silence your cell phones or turn them off if possible. The Villa Park City Council and staff welcome you to this meeting, and we encourage your participation. If you wish to address the City Council, please complete and submit a speaker card to the City Clerk before the scheduled meeting time. Speaker cards can be found at the entrance to the City Council chambers. Speakers will be limited to a time period of 5 minutes. We are truly honored this evening to have the Chief of the Orange County Fire Authority, Brian Fennessy, here. I would like to personally welcome him and thank him for his leadership over the past year and how many months?
About 16 months, sir.
About 16 months. He's shown an unprecedented level of leadership with an agency that is a phenomenal agency, great personnel, but lacked some guidance in certain areas. Where they were once on the cover of the Register, it seemed like day after day, squabbling over air support issues. He has reached out to our partners, I should say his partners, with the Orange County Sheriff's Department and come to a very beneficial understanding and compromise with them, and truly is respected by his peers throughout the state, and I would venture to say even nationally. So, Chief, if you wanted to come forward and say a few comments.
Well, Mayor Rossini, thank you. Honorable Council, thank you very much for, thanks for the nice words. Yeah, this is, I'm thrilled to be here. I mean, I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek because people think I'm crazy when I say that, given some of the challenges that the mayor put very nicely when I got here. But this is a great organization. The OCFA, and before that, the Orange County Fire Department was, has been an organization that we from, other departments. I originally started with the U.S. Forest Service, then spent almost 30 years with the city of San Diego and left as their fire chief. The OCFA was always an organization that had a tremendous reputation, not just here on the West Coast, but nationally. And so when an unexpected opportunity arose to potentially, serve as the fire chief here, I put in, even knowing what I knew, I put in. And I haven't been disappointed. I've been very fortunate in that I've got a board that some might say is a little large. I don't know. We have 25 board members. But it hasn't been, I've had the support of every one of them. And we haven't always agreed on a variety of different issues, but it's always been amicable and professional. And they've allowed me to manage the fire department while the board, took care of largely the policy issues. So I'm really fortunate. It's been a good experience. I love it up here. My family just moved into Orange County about a month ago, so we're residents. Not here in Villa Park, sorry, but a little bit further south. you're so fortunate to have Division Chief Phil Johnson here with you too. For those of you that I'm sure you've gotten to know Phil, he's the real deal. He cares. He's genuine. I don't have to worry about how proficient or technically competent he is at managing large incidents and fires and those sorts of things. He does that. But it's rare to find somebody that has those qualities, that technical competence, but also genuinely cares, not just about the communities he's serving, but the firefighters that serve for him. Unfortunately, it is more rare than I'd like to admit. But Phil's that guy. He's a family person. He's an old wildland firefighter like I am, and so we connected early on, and you're being served by absolutely, one of our best. So I definitely want to thank, Phil for stepping up and taking on additional responsibility. And I'll leave you with this, to kind of give you an idea of, who your OCFA firefighters really are. Last week I got a call, and I get a lot of calls, right? I don't always take all the calls because sometimes, like any other organization or government agency, they're not all flattering calls, but we take all calls, right? And some of them surface. This one was a woman that really, my executive assistant says, you really need to talk to her. She wants to talk with you. He's like, okay. So I answer the phone, and she explains to me, she tells me that, she's a resident in one of our Orange County Fire Authority areas, communities, and that the following weekend or the previous weekend at a family event, her father fell ill and actually went into cardiac arrest, which of course is a life and death threatening problem. She was very upset. She said, obviously, all the family was there. They accessed 911, and I was pleased to hear that we got there, very quickly. And pleased to hear that, she seemed to think that we, knew what we were doing. But what I was most pleased about was, the level of compassion and caring that the crew provided her family. And she tells me this. She says, they showed up quickly. They seemed to know what they were doing. We were very upset. The captain pulled me aside, introduced himself, and was very calming. The other firefighters dealt with, some of the other family and on and on. And she didn't really speak too much about much further. I said, well, they took your father to the hospital. Yes, they transported him. I said, how's he doing? She goes, well, sadly, he passed. Not the end of the story I thought I was going to hear, right? And I shared with her, of course, our condolences. And she just she said, listen, I'm calling just to make sure what those firefighters meant to me and my family in probably our darkest day. And that their level of caring was genuine, and as horrible and as the whole situation was, and the sadness of my father's passing, I wanted you to know as chief how your engine crew, treated me and my family. I had chills, but that's I haven't shared this very often, but that's a snapshot of who your OCFA firefighters are. It's not an anomaly. It's not just this one fire company. That's typical of what I hear when I go out and I meet with the community or people that have had contact with our firefighters. So it truly is an honor to serve here. It's an honor to have the division chief serve as your fire chief here in this community. And Mayor Rossini, it's been a pleasure. You came on about the same time I did, I think. And it's been a pleasure working with you. And if there's ever anything I can do for this community, I'm here for you. So thank you very much for the kind welcome and introduction.
Thank you. And I want to thank you for the leadership that Chief Johnson has shown and his predecessor, Chief Kovacs. We do have a number of issues that are facing our community. Obviously, we had a structure fire during the 4th of July, which thankfully wasn't more serious than it was. Oddly, I should say, obviously, it was a sad situation, preventable situation, and some folks are being greatly inconvenienced because of it. We have a number of issues facing our community. Obviously, we have wildfire issues that we've spoken about, and brush clearance issues, and that's something that we truly need your assistance with.
Great.
Both with our residents as well as residents in our neighboring cities, as well as our utility. So we look forward to working with you on that, and Chief Johnson, and whatever we can do to help support you and your firefighters, we certainly want to do that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor, and I know that the chief will get you the resources you need. As you know, our fire marshal, assistant chief, Lori Smith is one of the, I mean, she is.
She's
don't say that.
top-notch.
It's hard to get one like, I had a good fire marshal, an excellent fire marshal in San Diego, and they're few and far between, and she's that top shelf. And it's so challenging out there right now. We spend all winter and the months that it's rainy asking people to do their defensible space and take care of their areas, and some do, some don't, and then it gets hot and dry and things get, now, there's a resurgence of effort out there, but I think what's most challenging are those very few, thankfully, community members or HOAs or whatever they are that don't do what we've asked them to do and now expose their neighbors or community members to risk. And so it's important that we identify where that exists, and we get out and meet with those folks and just explain to them and share with them that the exposure that they're causing others, not to mention the firefighters that might have to go and protect those homes and those families. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and
Appreciate it.
we appreciate everything you do, and look forward to seeing you in a couple nights.
Just a question, has the SCE right-of-way that goes behind our city, has that been cleared out yet?
I don't know. We can certainly check, or Chief Johnson can. I'm
Has it?
unaware.
We're looking into that. To my knowledge, it hasn't been completed yet.
They've started?
I don't know if they have or not. They've been following up on all of the SCE right-of-way areas throughout the county. And there's only so many miles that they can do at a time, but stuff is getting worked on every day.
Yeah, that's our high fire hazard area, and that's, we actually had a fire, I know one in 1965 in particular, started in downtown Corona and went right over that hill and all the way down to Mesa Drive. And, back then, that area was not very built up. It's all houses now, and so it could be quite significant. And there's also part of Orange that has developed around that area, so it's
Let us
a real
check on
concern.
that. Give us a day to get back to you. That should be easy to check out. And you're right. Even though these areas are built up and they're maybe one would say more urbanized or suburbanized, one only needs to look at the one county north, the Woolsey fire and some of the fires we're experiencing in other counties north of us, where you don't have to live on the edge of the canyon anymore to be at risk. We're finding that homes in these firestorms are burning that are a half mile in, 3/4 of a mile in. And I think that's an awareness that many of the community don't have. They believe that if I live on the canyon edge or near that, I'm at risk. No, you're at risk blocks
Yeah.
into the suburban area. So we need to look at those easements.
Yeah, when the Santa Ana winds blow, it comes right through that. It's kind of a funnel area that, with the mountains and the hills and stuff, where it comes down through to get down towards the beach. And, yeah, we've had problems up there in the past. So if we could get that cleared out, that'd be real helpful.
Yeah, give us a day to check on that. We'll get with the fire marshal and we'll figure out where we are with that.
Okay. Yeah, if you
Thank you.
could get back with our
Thank you.
city manager,
Thank
or
you.
mayor.
Greatly appreciate it. I know he's a tough act to follow, but Chief Johnson, I figure you might have a report too.
Thank you, members of the council. I do have good news since the last period. No reportable drownings in Villa Park. The program seems to be working well. People are keeping an eye out on their kids. And let's not forget, adults drown too. And as far as wildfires, no reportable wildfires in that period as well. As you know, we're doing everything we can do to prevent them and to address the problem that we're talking about with the Edison easement and the other jurisdictions around that area. We take that very seriously as well. We do have some new people in place with the other cities that we will be making contact with to try to move that forward, so it isn't the threat to Villa Park that we do realize. So, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Looks like Sheriff's Department is not here.
Excuse me, I have not heard.
Okay,
I
we'll just go ahead and move forward. No representative from the library here.
No, she indicated she had nothing to report this month with the summer vacations and whatnot.
Okay. Orange County Mosquito and Vector Control District. Unless you have anything, I'd like to wait till next month to do that.
I have nothing.
Okay.
Okay.
Sanitation District.
Okay, my favorite part. The Board of Directors met on June 26th, and the meeting included a special recognition of our Director, James Ferryman, who has represented the Mesa Sanitary District on the board for 30 years, but also agenda items addressing ongoing operational maintenance items were discussed. On July 10th, I chaired a meeting of the board's Operations Committee. In addition to routine issues related to operations and maintenance, the committee received an update on the proposed interim food waste receiving facility. The state has adopted regulations prohibiting disposal of food waste, particularly like from restaurants in the landfills, and this material will now be received by the proposed facility, this interim food waste receiving facility, and added to the district's solid waste digesters, where it will be decomposed into methane for energy generation and biosolids for crop production. This Saturday, the district will celebrate the completion of our new centrifuge facility at a ribbon-cutting ceremony with state, federal, and local elected officials. This is about a $200 million project, and basically what it is it takes secondarily treated wastewater and runs it through very large cylindrical centrifuges to dewater the solid waste, and then this waste material is much drier than it was with the old filter presses, and will reduce the number and volume of will reduce the volume and number of trucks hauling this waste material off to reuse for composting or as directly for soil amendments. Anyway, the public is invited to this event that will take place at plant number 1 in Fountain Valley from 9 a.m. on Saturday morning. And this will be followed by a open house at 10 o'clock to celebrate the district's 65th anniversary. And this event will show how the district has been protecting the environment and public health for 65 years. So if you're interested in seeing that facility, it's a very large facility. It's one of the largest wastewater treatment facilities west of the Mississippi. It's also a groundbreaking facility in that we're working cooperatively with the Orange County Water District on the groundwater recycling system, which has received worldwide recognition. It's truly something interesting to see. So I'd like to invite you all down there. Again, 9 o'clock for the centrifuge ribbon cutting, and then 10 o'clock for the open house. That's all I
Thank you
have to
very
report.
much. Appreciate it. Orange County Fire Authority, just a couple bits of news. We've already had a report from our division chief and Chief Fennessy. I wanted to talk briefly about the $4 million helicopter program with Southern California Edison. And Chief, can you briefly go into some of the mechanics of how that is a beneficial program to communities such as ours? You're probably going to do a better job than I will.
Yeah, I would be glad to. We have a setup with Southern California Edison to house what we call a Type 1 and a Type 2 helicopter here in the county. They're kept up at Fullerton Airport. One of the nice things about this is Edison is footing the entire bill. We've contracted through Colson Helicopters. They are the contractor who flies, staffs the helicopters, maintains them, and all of that. Edison is footing the bill for $4 million. They're staying seated in our county for 150 days. The 150-day contract is going to be up in December. With that, we have full access to those helicopters on any kind of a wildland response. OCFA has our own 2 helicopters. In addition to that, we have the 2 helicopters from Edison. Any kind of an initial wildland dispatch that we get here in the county, instead of having 2 helicopters responding, we're having up to 4 helicopters responding right off the bat. Now, the other side of that, those helicopters from Edison are available anywhere in Edison's service territory. So it's not just Orange County. We can't hold them here, so to speak, but we do get them on the initial dispatch as long as they're available at Fullerton Airport, and most of the times they are. They can fly around to the other counties that are serviced by Edison on a call basis. So once again, we have primary access to them as long as they are here in the county, but there are times they may be busy. I don't want you to think that we don't have any access to helicopters when they're gone. We always have 2 here, and we also have the assistance of the sheriff's helicopters as well.
From the last meeting, those are basically the key points that I wanted to touch on. I think that is such a huge force multiplier, excuse me, for the fire authority and for communities such as ours that do face that wildland fire threat. Other bits of business, the City of Garden Grove is continuing their progress towards rolling out under the banner of Orange County Fire Authority, and I have not heard as of today's date of any hiccups or issues with that. I believe it'll be in August that they
August 16th.
go live, and then Placentia is unfortunately a to be determined situation at this point in time. It does appear that they're going in a certain direction that is away from the fire authority, but I don't know if you wanted to touch on that briefly, sir.
With the city of Placentia, they have elected to opt out of the contract with the Orange County Fire Authority based on financial reasons. For them, it's going to benefit their city financially, and what's happening is the contract will end June 30th of 2020 with the Orange County Fire Authority at midnight. So they'll be moving into starting up their own fire department. Placentia has two fire stations there, and they will be working on moving the apparatus in, and as well as the staffing, handling the training, the fire prevention activities, and all the infrastructure with the dispatching. Their dispatching will occur through their own police department, taking the 911 calls, and then of course forwarding the calls out to the fire stations to get them rolling. Over to Garden Grove, that transition is going very well. We're bringing them into the fold with us as far as training. They're all firefighters. We don't need to teach them how to be firefighters, but it's like a football team. They're moving over to a different team, so they need to learn a new playbook. So that's what they're doing with us as far as how we put the ladders up and pull the hoses and fight the fires, as well as administrative duties as well. And once again, the switch will be flipped August 16th. It will have been a 120-day transition with them, and all of them are very excited to come over, and we're very excited to have them.
I think it's go
Mayor,
ahead.
if I could interrupt, just because, for some clarification, both Garden Grove and Placentia are what we call cash contract cities. We are different class of city membership, if you will, in the fire authority. So people have asked, I've received calls saying, what does the city not leave the fire authority to save money? We don't, we have
Structural
part of
fire
the
fund.
structural fire fund, which is part of our property tax bill, is taken directly and given to the fire authority. The cash contract cities actually get a bill from the fire authority each year, which is capitated at a certain dollar amount, which grows, but they have to pay for their actual cost plus a cap each year that can't go up. The structural fire fund, our property tax bill is capitated by Prop 13. So our bill never goes up, we never see a bill, our property tax goes directly to them. So if we were to try and leave the city, the fire authority, it would entail a whole different set of negotiations, and we would have to negotiate with the county, and we'd have to go through LAFCO, we'd have to a number of different steps, and it is not likely that we would end up saving money. So it's a very different sort of process. So when people talk about why is Placentia leaving and saving money, why can't Villa Park think of something like that? Well, it's because we're in a different sort of class of cities in the fire authority. So we have the benefit of increasing services, quite honestly, without increasing our costs in Villa Park. The fire authority has to deal with whatever. So when they say they improve response time and it may cost them X amount more, they don't bill us for it. They have to absorb it within their property tax that they already get from us. So I just wanted to clarify that because I have received some questions when the articles in the paper. I'm sure you all have received. And if anyone does have any questions, I'll be glad to go into excruciating detail. But it is something that is worth noting that we are in a different kind of tier and a classification than both Placentia and now Garden Grove.
I think a fantastic point. I appreciate you you bringing that out. And Chief, thank you for your report, and thank you for indulging me on my report.
You're welcome.
Next, we have the Orange County Library Advisory Board.
I think that was Chad.
That's Chad, yeah.
So that's going to be nothing.
He's got
City
city
schools,
schools.
same.
Yeah.
Community development.
No meeting this month?
Okay. Friends of Villa Park Library. Chad. Yeah. Infrastructure management.
No meeting this month?
And investment advisory.
That's me. We had a meeting on July 17th, and Bill Underwood, the chair, and two members of the committee are preparing a report to deliver to council next month, I believe, about the PARS investment performance. So we'll be hearing that next month. And then they did want me to let the public know that there are two positions that are open for the Villa Park Investment Advisory Committee, and it's a 2-year appointment. And if you are financially savvy or just interested in finance, we'd love to have you fill out an application. You can always contact myself or Steve Franks and get the application for committee involvement. And it's a great way to get involved. And this group of people are incredibly intelligent and care about what's going on. So look forward to hearing about the report next month.
Thank you very much.
Question.
Go ahead.
And you say the report's just about the PARS investment?
A performance of the PARS.
Okay, because I went through the report and looked at it, and it's not, I don't think it's performing like we expected last year. We put this fund in place, I think, June of last year, and expected to, help eliminate some of the PARS, issues that we had, but I don't think it's performing the way we thought it would. And it's, last month it lost money, considerable amount of money, so in a year, we've gained $2,000 on $200,000, so I was concerned about that.
That's
I'm glad they're coming to report on it.
certainly a valid point, and that'd be great if we could maybe
That's cool.
find out the details on that. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Law Enforcement Advisory, correct me if I'm wrong, that's upcoming this month? Okay. The chair had an issue with last month? Okay. Villa Park Community Services Foundation?
Yeah, there were quite a few things discussed at the last meeting. The Community Services Foundation is speaking with the librarian about partnering to provide senior citizens technology-type classes, potentially. We are going to use venues like the Villa Park Magazine and others to try and understand what the interests are of our seniors in Villa Park so that we can tailor programs to help them, use iPads, use iPhones, use technology, internet access, all those wonderful things. The second thing that they discussed is the possibility of installing a vice chair position. There was some discussion about potential candidates, whole different, all kinds of different things associated with that. I believe it'll come back up tomorrow night for some more discussion and maybe even a vote if there's someone put forth tomorrow night in their discussion. There are some dates set for the Halloween Fest, the Santa Tour, and the Boat Tour. I'm just going to start advertising it now. The Halloween Fest is on 10/26. The Santa Tour, and this year we're doing things Santa Tour and the Boat Parade a little differently. We're splitting it up on 2 different weekends. So the Santa Tour will be on 12/7, and the Boat Parade will be on 12/15. Also, don't forget that we've got a concert in the park coming up very soon, so encourage everybody to attend that and have some fun. That's always a great time. Tomorrow night also, Carl Krutzinger will review with the board and everyone the new website for the Community Services Foundation, so that hopefully will be rolled out pretty soon. But he wanted to share with it, and he only made mention about making sure the AV was working tomorrow night. I won't be here, so I can't help with that, okay? But, and so if anyone has any candidates for the vice chair position that you'd like to put forth, please send that to Ed Carter. I appreciate it.
Will do. Thank you very much for your report. Bridges at Kramer.
So our meeting was on 6/26, and a lot of discussion was had about tracking and about software and being able, especially since there are some new locations coming online. Buena Park Shelter should be open by the end of the year. What they find that they're having some difficulty with is the tracking in if someone checks in to say Placentia and then they disappear and they end up in Buena Park, how do they not count them as 2 people? So, because they're not communicating with each other. So a lot of time was spent on this Outreach Grid app and trying to make sure that all of the platforms are the same so that they can better get an idea of actually how many people get rehoused, how many people check out and don't say anything, or how many people just kind of transfer some other way. So,
Who uses the app?
I,
The individual or the people that are managing them?
It's a case
It's-
management system that's
yeah.
used by the caseworkers, so they use it to track the movement, and then the law enforcement agencies use it as well, because if a person has appeared somewhere, they like to be able to get them back to the place that they
So is
were
there
having
some type of
services.
lookup for the sheriff or whoever that?
It's a
we say,
connected system.
Okay, this
yeah.
person belongs here, that type
Yeah.
of thing? Cool.
well, but the problem they were finding is that they weren't using it to communicate with each other.
Oh, okay.
So someone
That
would show
happens.
up and they use it, but
Technology
but they
integration.
wouldn't reach out to the neighboring and say, we have so-and-so, did you have them, were they yours? So that, they're working on that.
Cool.
That's it.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Okay. Moving on to public comments. At this time, members of the public may address the council on any off-agenda items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council, provided that no action may be taken on off-agenda items unless authorized by law. Comments are limited to 5 minutes per person and 30 minutes for all comments. I believe we have at least one.
Yes, we do. Pat Buttress?
Welcome.
Oh, I actually can see over this. I was worried. I thought maybe I'd have to come over here to the side. All I wanted to do was on behalf of Supervisor Wagner, tomorrow night, 7:24, we have a town hall on fire prevention. And I want to thank Steve Franks for having put this out on your newsletter, and the Foothills Sentry for having let us put flyers in that were very glossy and very easy to see. One of our presenters for OCFA is our Chief Johnson, and we're thrilled about that. But we also have, because it's East Orange, and I know that some of your folks in Villa Park would be very concerned about fires, so we included your zip code. So I'm inviting everyone to please be there, that it's at Moreno's, at the Mexican restaurant over on Chapman, and the room's all set up and ready, and we have 6 presenters, which is OCFA and the Orange Fire Department, because they work together, and let's see if I get this right, OCSD, right? Oh, good. I did it right. The Sheriff's Department. And then we will have the Orange Police Department, because there were some problems with the last big fire about blocking. And then we're going to have the OC Parks people to come in and talk what you do, where you can take your large animals to. And then the president of OPA, Don Bradley, will speak about how you evacuate large animals. So I think it's going to be a very comprehensive one. We're there from 7 to 9, but there's a good 45 minutes of Q&A. So hopefully we will. And I just wanted to personally invite each of you, if you have a chance and are in town and can do it, we would love to have you there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further public comments?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and move on to public hearings. Item number 1, waive reading in full of all ordinances and resolutions on the agenda. Recommendation for the motion to waive the reading in full of all ordinances, resolutions, and meeting minutes on the agenda, and direct city clerk to read by title only. Steve?
This is the monthly regular report, and we'd recommend approval.
Motion?
So moved.
Have a
Second.
second? Thank you.
Okay, we'll take a verbal vote. If I could have Crystal Miles,
Yes.
Councilman Colacott,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Pitts,
No.
and Mayor Rossini.
Yes.
Steve, there's some corrections to the minutes that need to be taken care of.
This is
This is
the,
not the
Oh, okay, number 1, I'm sorry. My
this is number
mistake.
1, I'm sorry.
Did we want
Change
to?
my vote.
Yeah, so
Yes.
do we want to re-vote on that?
Yes,
Or just a misunderstanding?
confusion,
Okay.
Okay.
sorry.
We can read them all if you want. The consent calendar, before you get to that, item number 5 is the minutes, and there were some corrections that we need to make. So I'm going to ask that that be deleted from the agenda today, and we refiled for the August. So the minutes from our meeting of June 25th will be pulled from this grouping for the consent calendar. So that's item number 5 for clarification.
Thank you, as noted and as we discussed earlier. Thank you. So now we will consider our consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are considered routine and are usually enacted by one motion approving the recommended action listed on the agenda. Any member of the city council, staff, or the public may request an item be removed from the consent calendar for discussion or separate action. Council members, are there any items you would like to remove from the consent calendar, with the exception of the minutes, which has already been removed?
No.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve is there any public comment on this?
I just wanted to clarify that we do have item 5.5, which is a little bit irregular. It was added, we initially had printed the agenda way early, and then we still had time. So we added an item that is being required by the county for an assessment fee and a sewer pump charge. So we are basically just adding that item, but I wanted to clarify, it is 5.5. It's not a normal numbering pattern.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification. Is there any member of the public that would like to comment on this? Any members of council want to ask questions? No?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second.
You just want to take all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Next, we have the city manager report.
Okay, the monthly city manager report is produced in your thing in the matrix. I would also indicate that we have a copy of the budget printed now, and that is available in your drawers, should you be interested. And any member of the public, should they be interested, we can provide them a copy, or they can get one online if they would like to access it online. It's available there as well on the city website. Otherwise, I'm available to answer any questions.
Any questions of our city manager? Okay. Thank you for your report. Mayor and council member matters. I'm going to go ahead and begin with you, Councilman Colacott.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have any activities to report this month. However, I'd like to talk about an action that we took last month in closed session.
So, just before you go there, so do not discuss any action, any discussion from closed session or.
Understood.
Yeah, okay.
Every member of our council supports the policy of transparency in our decision-making process. However, last month in closed session, our council approved a letter of support for the trails at Santiago Creek project. It's otherwise known as the Sully Miller project, and that was subject to a set of conditions with public notification or resident input. This letter was forwarded to the City of Orange and the developer on July 2nd. I believe that's public information at this point since it's been mailed off.
The letter is, yes.
Yes, okay. Okay, as described in the draft environmental impact report, the Trails project may require approximately 1.1 million cubic yards of fill, tens of thousands of truckloads to be transported, perhaps through Villa Park Road. Our city's chief concern is the potential impacts associated with truck traffic on Villa Park Road. In addition to traffic congestion, public safety concerns, and physical damage to Villa Park Road, Villa Park residents may experience excessive noise and significant loss of property values. To avoid the congestion on Villa Park Road, motorists may also increase traffic on adjacent residential neighborhoods. The impacts on our city may be the most significant that we have ever experienced from any project in our area. Clearly, a decision on such a project warrants a full disclosure of the project and the potential impacts on our city, and the opportunity for residents to provide input into the decision-making process should be provided. To allow our residents the opportunity to understand and provide input on the city's position on the Trails at Santiago Creek project and the proposed conditions of approval, I will be requesting a public hearing be added to the agenda for our August meeting. This request will include written notification of the hearing to residents adjacent to Villa Park Road and others that may be significantly impacted by the proposed project. This notification should include a description of the project, amount of fill to be transported, and traffic estimates, with and without the implementation of the conditions of approval, and a full description of other potential impacts to Villa Park. Such a public hearing is consistent with a policy of transparency in council decision-making. Council policy requires at least 2 co-sponsors for an agenda item. As the requested hearing will demonstrate council's collective support for a policy of transparency in council decision-making, I'm inviting all council members to join with me as co-sponsors in placing this hearing on the August agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem.
Couple things I'd like to share. One is I had a wonderful time with my wife at the 4th of July parade. It was a wonderful event. I tell you, it keeps growing year after year after year. More kids, more parents, more bicycles, more dogs, and still one tractor.
One tractor.
One John Deere
One
tractor. Mind
He
you,
was
okay?
going to offer it, though.
One John Deere tractor, but it wouldn't be a parade, a 4th of July parade without a John Deere tractor. But that was the only event that I attended. But I want to take this opportunity to welcome 2 Chinese students to our community. Benda and Jackson, we'd like to welcome you to our community here in Villa Park. Elizabeth and I are sponsoring the 2 gentlemen. They're staying at our home for the next 2 weeks. They'll be here through August the 4th. They're here from China as a part of an Envision Cultural Learning and Living Group. The Envision program is designed to strengthen cross-cultural relationships and experience for many youth today. And these 2 guys, I think along with 15 others, are experiencing that in our communities around the surrounding areas. But I would like to introduce Jackson and Benda and welcome them to U.S. and Villa Park. These are their American names, so I'll ask them to stand up and maybe tell us their homeland names that were given to them by their parents. And then I'd like, as a token of our appreciation for you staying in our community and sharing with us both ways. I mean, we're sharing with you our cultural things, and you're sharing with us at the same time, and we really appreciate that. I'd like you to come up, and we have a little something for you to take home, and I'd like to invite the council to take a picture with you at the same time. So if you wouldn't mind, just kind of stand up and tell us your names up here.
Poor guys.
I put them on the spot. Sorry, boys.
Okay, hello everyone. We are so honored to come here and experience American culture and American lives. And we are from China. I'm from the north of China, and he's from the south of China. And my name is Benda. My Chinese name is Yan Pei Song. Yeah, and his Chinese name is Wang Xin. Wang Xin, and his English name is Jackson. Yeah.
Welcome.
Welcome, guys.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, let's all take a picture together. Huh? There we go. Their mom and dad. By the way, we call her mom and we call me dad. Cool. So that's pretty cool.
That is.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting these 2 gentlemen
It's really fun.
and showing what our community is about and what our nation can be about when things are done the right way. Thank you very much.
And they love our
Appreciate it.
food, too.
I bet they do. Guess
And her
what?
cooking.
I love their food too. Councilwoman Miles, please.
So I too went to our 4th of July parade. It was incredible. It was awesome to see the patriotism and everyone getting together. Like you said, more bikes, more dogs, one tractor. Gretchen Ferris did a phenomenal job, and I'm sure she had a crew of people to help her as well. And then also I attended the City of Orange's 3rd of July, so you did go
Oh,
to
yes, I
another
did
event.
that. Yes, I did that too. I'm sorry, I forgot.
And the City of Orange did a phenomenal job. That was my first time attending and was thoroughly impressed. And I guarantee you, Orange County Sheriff and Orange PD and OCFA had a lot to do with making that go as smooth as it did. And so a big thank you to them. And it was a fabulous, wonderful time. And welcome. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I too joined everybody here that's in attendance this evening at the 4th of July parade. I want to give my personal thanks to Gretchen Ferris. She did a fantastic job. All of the volunteers, Hillary, as always, huge supporter of our community. Thank you. The Sheriff's Department, they were out in droves. They did a fantastic job. I wasn't blocking any intersections myself this year, which was great. Glad I could enjoy it with my family. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out and showing their patriotism, their community spirit. And it was phenomenal. It was another reason, an affirmation of why I moved into this community, why I chose to raise my children in this community, my wife and my kids, and it was just really special. So thank you for that, and I'm glad that everybody, for the most part, had a safe and sane 4th of July, and I really appreciate those that chose to not fire off the inappropriate fireworks, because those can cause lots of issues. I know we've had a few reports of that. Thankfully, I think a majority of those were outside of the city. And I just want to thank the fire authority for the rapid response to the one residential fire that we did have, and their courageous work, and each and every day. And just a reminder to everybody, please watch your pools, please watch your children. Adult drowning is a serious issue. We've had that in this community. And when you go to the beach, watch your kids, real young, the toddlers, the teenagers. Those rip currents are real serious this time of year. Please be careful. And that's really all I have. We had a gentleman here that you were speaking to. Did you want to address some of his concerns about?
Yeah, he was concerned that neighbors were setting off fireworks in front of his property, and that the fireworks were ending up in his property and flying over his shake roof, which could potentially cause a structure fire. So
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. I'm sure that we'll make a note of that, and next year we'll see if we can get a sheriff's unit to drive by there and pay particular attention to that. I know that they were very responsive to some other requests that we had in our community, and I thank you for that and the responsiveness that they showed.
Sir, do you have the contact information for the Sheriff's Department?
I came to complain about my neighbor trying to get big old firecrackers into my yard.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
They didn't throw it into their own yard.
Okay. Well, certainly, I think Councilmember Colacott will follow up with you after the meeting, and we can get your contact information and the address of the individual, and have the appropriate authorities take a look at that. Thank you. Do you want to come forward?
I bought these firecrackers to show what kind they were,
Thank you.
okay? They weren't thrown into my yard in the front. Why did, Villa Park, everybody has a big neighbor in the yard. Why can't they do it on their own? Not only that, the last one was the worst one. They shot up something in the road. Still got the orange mark there. I think it was from this one here, one of these. It shot up and it flared up and it came over to my roof. Mine is shake roof yet,
Right.
so I have to worry. that part I did myself. So
Okay, well, we will follow up with you.
I
I'm sure-
just want them so they patrol it more. You know, the area, because those firecrackers, they blew up really loud. I'm sure everybody heard it around the neighborhood. Because this guy told me that these fireworks, they were even bigger as they got. The big ones, they threw further over to my yard by the other Tangerine Street, on my U Drive. And I picked these up. They're really loud. I mean, it scared us.
Sir,
We went
I'll have
outside.
Chief Johnson follow up with you after the meeting, and we can take a look at those. And then we'll
wanna
have the
see
sheriff's,
these? I mean-
no, just give them to Chief Johnson. We'll follow up with you after the meeting, okay? Thank you very much. Thanks for bringing that to our attention.
Well, I just came to say this. There was a guy from the sheriff's department. I even went out to the civic center, and the two cops that were patrolling around the area, they told me to come to the city hall. They'll get better results if they call and complain about these fireworks. But two different guys told me the same thing, that these are they used to make dynamites, and that's what the firecrackers made out of. The dynamites they make them for explosives.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead and hand those to Chief Johnson. We'll follow up with you.
Actually, if you could actually, Mayor,
Sure.
hold on to those yourself, just for chain of custody
Chain of
reasons.
custody,
Evidence.
okay.
So you hold on to them, and somebody will contact you, probably from the sheriff's
No,
department.
you know what? I
Sir.
just want it next
Sir.
year.
Sir, go ahead and hang on to those. Thank you.
Take them back. There you go.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
That's it?
Okay,
That's it.
thank you very much.
I don't mean to say this. I just wanted that from the Law Detective's house here, 9651 Duplicate Home, because they blew firecrackers last year, but they weren't loud. There were this smaller one in here.
We have his
Two
information.
of them were really
We- yeah,
loud. I
we
mean,
get his
really
contact
loud.
info.
We'll get this information.
Thank you.
I'm complaining. I'm
Thank
not
you.
telling them. I
Thank
just
you.
wanted to patrol.
Thank you. We understand. We'll get your contact information and follow up with you, okay? Thank
You
you.
don't have to follow up.
No,
on
we do. We do. It's our
They-
responsibility
they
to
just
do
told
that.
them to come to the city hall and you'll get better results.
Sir,
When they
sir,
call.
thank you. We need to end the meeting
Yeah,
now.
thank you,
Okay?
that's it.
Thank
That-
you.
That's all. I
Please,
didn't even come
ju-
to complain.
No, that's okay. It's your right to do that.
But
and
I
we
want
honor
to say
that.
something else before I leave. The sheriff guy told me, oh, these,
Sir? Sir?
they sell at the stand.
Sir,
I just wanted I didn't come for nothing.
I
don't
understand.
hardly come to the council meeting. This is the only second one I came.
and thank you
This
for
is
coming.
something else, you would be mad too.
You're right.
At least come throw them to your front yard.
Thank you.
So long. I'll see you. You know.
Do I have any further business? I don't believe so. Motion to adjourn unless somebody has any other comments.
So moved.
Second?
Okay. Thank you very much.